My name is Carly Cooper, and today I will be discussing organizational charts. For an organization to be successful, it is important to have a well-established organizational structure. Organizational charts show the established structure of the company. These charts are used to define the chain of command, who reports to who. The organizational structure displayed in organizational charts defines each employee's job and where their role in the company takes place. Depending on the structure of the company, the organizational chart depicts who each employee reports to, as well as who may be reporting to them. It is important to communicate with all departments of a company. The organizational chart defines how communication is managed in and between departments and management levels. Without an organizational chart, employees will not have a full understanding of their responsibilities and duties in the company. There are many different types of organizational charts. The chart used by each business can depend upon the type of business and their goals in achieving success. What works for one company might not work for another. A large company is most likely to have a different organizational structure than a small or startup company. What works best could depend upon the size, and that will affect what chart they use so that they can find the one to best fit their company's needs. Today I will be discussing 3 common types of organizational charts. Those are hierarchical, matrix, and flat, also known as flatarchy or horizontal. As you can see here, a hierarchical organizational chart is laid out in a pyramid shape. Everyone in the organization, except for the person at the top, which may be the CEO, president, or owner of the company, is subordinate to someone else, reporting to only one person. The communication of the organization flows down from the top where decisions are made. Although there are multiple levels of management, all decisions must be approved from the level above, going all the way back to the top of the pyramid. This narrows the function of each manager and the ability of each manager to make decisions on their own. The many channels and levels in the hierarchical organizational chart cause slow communication and decision-making throughout the organization. The pros of a hierarchical organizational chart include a clearly defined structure and opportunities for promotion. A clearly defined structure encourages employee loyalty within their departments and team building. Because there is a well-defined structure, employees are motivated to achieve at their highest levels of success so that they can move up the ranks of the hierarchy. Unfortunately, there are many more cons than there are pros, as you can see here on the screen. With the extensive framework and rigid structure from the top of the organization down to the bottom, this organizational chart has many layers which can limit the growth of the company. The communication comes from the top where decisions are made and potentially does not allow for input from subordinates who may have ideas that could help the company in achieving success. The hierarchical structure is strongly bureaucratic, and any ideas, comments, or concerns of the employees will have to travel through many channels to reach the top management, where anything could be done to make their voices feel like they were being heard. In a hierarchical organizational chart, the OSH department will be placed in upper management, either in the second or third tier from the top. In order to effectively implement safety practices and controls in the workplace, OSH department would need to be above supervisors and managers. The supervisors and managers will need to lead by example and encourage, as well as keep their employees accountable for following safety practices. If they do not follow safety practices, then the lower level employees are going to be less likely to follow safety practices. If the lower level employees do not see that upper management is taking safety importantly, then they will not see that it is important and will not follow the practices like they should. One drawback to OSH and a hierarchical organizational structure would be that if anyone had an idea to help improve safety or even the safety culture in the company, it could be completely discounted for and never reach the ears of upper management. For example, if an operator at a manufacturing plant had an idea to improve forklift safety and they took their idea to their supervisor, it will only reach the next level if the supervisor feels it is important enough to communicate up the hierarchy. If the operator's supervisor did not communicate this to their superior, then the operator's idea would never be heard by upper management unless they go outside of the chain of command and go over their supervisor's head, which could cause tension in the workplace. The next organizational chart I will discuss is a matrix chart. A matrix chart outlines an organizational structure where employees working on projects would be reporting to more than one supervisor. This is unlike what was seen in the hierarchical organizational chart where each person only reported to one person. When working on projects, employees from different functions could potentially be grouped together to accomplish tasks. When cross-functional groups are formed to complete a project, the members of the group will still have to report to their manager, but they will also report to the project manager, and they may end up reporting to other higher-ups depending on the size of the project and how much it could affect the company. To be able to visualize the crossover resulting from having to report to different managers, a matrix or grid-type layout defines the lines of communication from the subordinates to their superiors and the different channels information would have to be passed through. The pros of a matrix organizational chart are flexibility, cost-effectiveness, and creativity. Workers from various functions and departments can be grouped together to get maximum results on a project. If the advice from someone in marketing could help a project succeed or help improve the project, then they could be pulled from that department and put on the project so that they could help the project succeed. The cost effectiveness comes into play when you won't have to hire outside consultants that you could pull from different departments of your organization that could help improve the outcome of a project. Also, by devoting one or a few people from each department versus using the resources of a whole department for a project could reduce costs and keep each department running smoothly while the group members are able to accomplish the task that they were assigned in the group project. People from different functions working together allows for innovation and for new ideas to be born. There's a lot of room to be creative and collaborate on coming up with solutions and ideas to help the company grow when people with different mindsets come together and work on a project. The cons of a matrix chart are conflict, confusion, and stress. Conflict could come from employees trying to devote their time to the project and their day-to-day work. They will have to decide how much time needs to be devoted to each job to have the quality of work and produce the amount of output that their management will expect to see from them, even though they are working on more than one thing. Confusion could come about from not knowing who to report to. Although the matrix structure shows the lines of communication in the grid outline, employees may be confused about who to report to first. Conflict and tension could result from a group member reporting something to their inline manager instead of reporting it to the project head first, and vice versa depending on the situation, and this could cause tension within the group and with their manager. This could lead to employees being very stressed and unsure of the course of action that they need to take. This could reduce productivity, and the stress of reporting to more than one manager could affect the creativity or any ideas they have with the pressure and stress of the situation weighing down on them, keeping them from being able to effectively work using their maximum potential and being able to work freely without constraint to their own devices. In this example of a matrix organizational chart, I would place the OSH department with human resources or in another department next to human resources. OSH would be in the same level as the VPs, since the OSH department would still need to have as much say and control in the organization as the vice presidents. OSH has to be accounted for in every department, whether it be wearing personal protective equipment or machine guarding on the production floor to sprinkler systems and security in the administrative building. The vice presidents will have to work alongside the OSH department to ensure the company is following regulations and ensuring that their workers are still safe. OSH may also be incorporated into the cross-functional groups depending on what the project would be. So the cross-functional lines may extend all the way over to the OSH department, depending on that. The last organizational chart I will discuss is a flat or flatarchy or horizontal chart. Like the name flatarchy suggests, this chart is a flattened version of the hierarchical chart. There are fewer levels between employees and management, which allows for easier communication. Employees have greater freedom to make decisions on their own. Although they still have managers, employees do not have to receive approval from the management on every single decision they make, like you would see in a hierarchical chart where they would need the approval from the level above them, which would lead all the way back to the top, which could take up a lot of time and make the communication sluggish, like I said previously. Without management looming over the employees, they are encouraged to be more driven and dedicated to their jobs. Since employees are seen as more of equals than not with management, changes can occur rapidly and help improve the business, which is why the flatarchy is usually seen in small or startup businesses and not seen as often in large corporations. Of course, there are pros and cons to the flatarchy. Some of the pros are quicker communication, less bureaucracy, employees having the ability to make decisions, giving them more responsibility, and cost effectiveness. As I previously said, the flat chart allows for quicker communication. Fewer levels means less channels for communication to have to pass through. Flattening out the hierarchy reduces the amount of bureaucracy in the company. Another pro of the flatarchy is cost effectiveness from cutting out the cost of middle management. The cons of a flat organizational chart are more reliance on employees, confusion, and limited growth. Employees have greater responsibility and decision-making capabilities in a flatarchy. Although this sounds like a good thing, it can sometimes lead to confusion and dissension among management. Confusion can result from employees not knowing who they need to report to, since it isn't clearly defined in the organizational chart. Another drawback to the flat chart is limited growth potential of the business. To grow, companies using a flat chart will have to restructure and add more levels to their company, and ultimately may have to implement a hierarchical organizational chart to see any growth. In a flat chart, an OSH department would be in the same level as management. Even though there will have to be some decisions already made and rules and regulations put in place for the employees to follow so that the company stays in compliance with all of the laws, employees will still be able to directly communicate their ideas, opinions, and concerns to the OSH department in the company. In the flatarchy, it's much more quicker for them than in a hierarchical chart because the middle management is cut out of the chart. Since employees outside of management are more affected by safety policies in the company, by having employee involvement and the ability to have a say in the OSH policies put into place, the employee's outlook could improve and the safety of the facility could ultimately be better accomplished and have a positive safety outlook on the culture of the company. And with that, my presentation is concluded.